You're standing in front of a river. It's 3000 BC. The sun just came up. There's no bathroom, no sink, no mirror. There's just you, the water, and a mouth that hasn't been cleaned since yesterday. And somewhere, at some point, one of your ancestors picked up a stick, chewed the end of it, and dragged it across their teeth. Not because a dentist told them to, because they figured it out. This is the story of how ancient humans kept their teeth clean. Not toothpaste, not bristle brushes, not the electric toothbrush sitting on your bathroom counter right now. We're talking about the very first time a human being intentionally cleaned their mouth, and why that might tell you more about human intelligence than almost anything else in history. Because here's the thing nobody tells you. Ancient humans didn't have worse teeth because they lacked toothbrushes. Some of them had dramatically better teeth than you do. Better than millions of people alive today with fluoride, whitening strips, and twice-yearly dental cleanings. And the evidence for this is genuinely insane. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. The stick that beat modern toothpaste. Before there was toothpaste, there was a tree. Specifically, the Salvadora persica, known today as the toothbrush tree, growing across Africa, the Middle East, and South Asia. For at least 3,500 years, people across these regions have been cutting small twigs from this tree, chewing one end until the fibers frayed outward into a natural brush, and using those fibers to clean their teeth. The tool is called Miswak in Arabic, Datun in Sanskrit, chew stick in English. Different names, same idea. Same tree. Here's where it stops being tradition and becomes science. When researchers at King Saud University in Saudi Arabia ran a full chemical analysis on Salvadora persica, they found it naturally contains benzyl isothiocyanate, a proven antibacterial compound that directly inhibits the bacteria responsible for gum disease. It contains silica, which acts as a mild abrasive to remove plaque. It contains natural fluoride. It contains tannins that reduce gum inflammation. These are not folk remedies. These are active ingredients deliberately engineered into modern toothpaste. The tree had them already. And then in 2003, a study published in the Journal of Periodontology compared Miswak users to conventional toothbrush users and found that Miswak users showed significantly lower markers of gum disease in several categories. Not comparable results. Better, a stick. Tested in a modern laboratory, holding its own against a product backed by billions in research and development. Ancient humans didn't have a lab to explain why it worked. They had generations of close observation, of trying things and watching what happened. And through that process alone, they landed on a plant containing what we now have to engineer. Think about that the next time someone uses the word primitive. Chapter 2. Egypt and the world's oldest dental recipe. Around 5,000 years ago, the Egyptians were already writing about teeth. The Ebers Papyrus, discovered in Luxor in 1873 and dated to approximately 1550 BC, is one of the oldest surviving medical documents in the world. It contains treatments for toothache, gum disease, and dental pain written with a specificity that makes clear these were not guesses. Egyptian physicians understood that the mouth could become infected, that the gums could deteriorate, and that this had consequences for the rest of the body. Their cleaning mixture combined powdered pumice, sodium bicarbonate, dried iris flower, and pepper. Each ingredient had a purpose. Pumice provided gentle abrasion to remove surface stain and debris from the enamel. Sodium bicarbonate is alkaline, which neutralizes the acids produced by oral bacteria, the same reason it appears in modern toothpaste today. The iris had mild antimicrobial properties. The pepper stimulated saliva production. And saliva is one of the mouth's primary natural defenses against bacterial buildup. They applied this mixture with their fingers, rubbing in circular motions across the teeth. Here's something dentists will confirm without hesitation. The mechanical friction of rubbing is a substantial part of what actually cleans a tooth surface. The bristles on a brush matter less than people think. The motion is doing most of the work. In 2003, a team at the University of Vienna reconstructed the Egyptian formula and tested it against a commercially available modern toothpaste. Their findings, reported by the Associated Press, concluded the ancient mixture produced less gum bleeding and left participants feeling cleaner than one of the comparison brands. 5,000 years old, and it held its ground. Chapter 3. The Romans and the chemistry nobody wanted to find. Now we arrive at the part of history that is equal parts impressive and genuinely unsettling. The Romans understood dental health well enough to take it seriously at an institutional level. They had bronze dental forceps for extractions. Physical examples survive today in the Museo Nazionale Romano in Rome. Wealthy Romans used tooth powders made from crushed charcoal, powdered bark, and dried herbs. Roman texts, including writings by the physician Scribonius Largus in the 1st century CE, reference dental preparations explicitly and with considerable detail. But the Romans also used urine as mouthwash, specifically fermented urine, aged, collected, and traded commercially. The Roman poet Catullus referenced the import of Portuguese urine to Rome as a cleaning product, and not as a fringe practice. This was documented. This was normal. This happened. Now here is the chemistry that makes this almost impossible to dismiss. Fermented urine contains ammonia. Ammonia is alkaline, which neutralizes the acids produced by oral bacteria, the same acids that erode enamel and cause cavities. Ammonia is also a surfactant, meaning it loosens surface film and debris. It is by any chemical standard a legitimate cleaning agent. It still appears in household cleaning products today. And here is the connection that closes the loop entirely. Urea, a compound from the same chemical family, was an active ingredient in commercially sold toothpastes in the early 20th century in the United States. Chemists added it deliberately because it worked. The Romans arrived at the same compound 2,000 years earlier through pure empirical observation. They noticed it worked. They didn't know why. They were still right. Have you ever come across a historical fact that completely reframed what you thought progress meant? I genuinely like to hear it in the comments. Chapter 4. China and the first bristle toothbrush. The object closest to what you use today came from China. During the Tang Dynasty, roughly 600 to 900 CE, Chinese records document evolving oral cleaning tools. By the late 15th century, during the Ming Dynasty, Chinese craftsmen were producing toothbrushes made from the stiff neck hairs of Siberian wild boars, set into handles carved from bamboo or animal bone. Stiff natural bristles mounted on a handle. That is the direct structural ancestor of every toothbrush manufactured today. This design traveled westward along trade routes into Europe. In the 1780s, an Englishman named William Addis produced the first mass-manufactured toothbrush in Britain, still using boar bristles. Nylon bristles only replaced animal hair in 1938, when DuPont introduced synthetic fibers for the first time. The design you hold every morning has a lineage running through Ming Dynasty China, Silk Road trade, a British manufacturer, and a DuPont laboratory. The idea is 500 years old at minimum, only the material is new. Chapter 5. The uncomfortable truth about ancient teeth. Here is the part of this story that almost nobody talks about, and it changes the entire picture. Paleopathologists, scientists who study disease and health conditions in ancient skeletal remains, have documented something that directly challenges everything we assume about dental history. Pre-agricultural humans, meaning hunter-gatherers living before the widespread adoption of farming, had dramatically lower rates of tooth decay than modern humans. Some ancient populations showed cavity rates as low as 1 to 5%. Today, the World Health Organization estimates that nearly 100% of adults worldwide have experienced tooth decay at some point in their lives. The difference is not toothbrushes. The difference is diet. Before agriculture, humans ate meat, fibrous vegetables, roots, nuts, and seasonal fruit. These foods required significant chewing, which naturally cleaned tooth surfaces through friction and stimulated saliva, the mouth's built-in antibacterial system. More critically, these foods were low in refined carbohydrates and simple sugars, which are the primary fuel source for Streptococcus mutans, the bacterial species most directly responsible for producing the acids that create cavities. When humans began farming around 10,000 years ago, eating grain, bread, and starchy crops in large quantities, cavity rates began climbing. Archaeologists examining skull collections across time can see this transition in the physical remains. Pre-agriculture skulls show clean, low-decay dentition. Post-agriculture skulls show progressive increases in decay, gum disease, and tooth loss. A landmark 2013 study published in Nature Genetics by researchers at the Adelaide Center for Ancient DNA analyzed ancient dental calculus, hardened plaque preserved on old teeth, across specimens spanning 7,500 years of human history. They found that the diversity of oral bacteria collapsed sharply after the agricultural revolution, and again after the industrial revolution, leaving modern mouths dominated by a narrow, decay-prone bacterial population that ancient hunter-gatherers simply did not carry. We created the problem, then we invented the solution. Then we called ourselves more advanced. If this kind of thing makes you rethink the story we tell about human progress, drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd genuinely love to hear where your mind went. Chapter 6. What this actually means. Here's the quiet conclusion underneath all of this history. Across every ancient civilization, Egyptian, Roman, Chinese, Indian, across the ancient Middle East and sub-Saharan Africa, human beings were paying close, deliberate attention to their mouths, not because a dentist told them to, not because of marketing, because they understood something instinctively that gets buried under modern convenience. Your mouth is how you eat, how you speak, how you connect with every other human being in your life. Taking care of it was never separate from taking care of yourself. The tools changed. The chemistry was slowly understood. The materials were refined over millennia. But the underlying impulse, the awareness that this part of the body deserves consistent, deliberate attention, was never invented. It was always there. And the deepest irony of this entire story is this. The greatest threat to human dental health in all of recorded history was not the absence of toothbrushes. It was a change in diet that came packaged with civilization itself. As humanity advanced, as we built cities and grew crops and created abundance, we introduced the conditions that made our teeth more vulnerable than they had ever been before. Which means the most important dental discovery in human history wasn't fluoride. It wasn't the nylon bristle. It was the understanding, arriving far too late for most of the people who paid the price, of what we probably should not be eating quite so much of in the first place. So what's the one thing staying with you from this video? Is it the ancient stick that matched modern toothpaste in a laboratory? The Egyptian formula that beat a commercial brand in a clinical test? The Romans who accidentally got the chemistry right? Or is it the bigger picture, that hunter-gatherers, who never touched a toothbrush in their lives, had cleaner teeth than most people alive today? Whatever it is, tell me in the comments. What surprised you most? And if this is the kind of video that makes ordinary things feel extraordinary, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay close. Because that's exactly what we do here, every single time.